The city where I grew up and where I still live is the type of place where everyone knows about your business before you start it. In order not to turn off the lights and fill the refrigerator with food, I got a job that required me to travel. 3 weeks of work, 1 week of vacation. They called it corporate consulting. I called it survival. Emily, my wife, stayed. We decided that it was temporary. Sacrifice for the sake of the future. At first, it worked. Emily managed the house, our daughter Lily's ballet recitals, and her part-time job at the local library. We video called every night, sharing stories about our days. But over time, the calls grew shorter. "You're tired," she'd say. "We'll talk tomorrow." Tomorrows blurred into silence. Our anniversary was coming up, and I'd planned a surprise. I flew home early, a bouquet of peonies in hand. Her favorite. The house was empty. Odd for a Tuesday. Emily's car was gone, and Lily was at school. I dropped my luggage in the foyer, the silence pressing against my ears. Upstairs, in our bedroom, it got colder. The bed was neatly made, but something felt wrong. There was a faint citrus scent in the air, not Emily's perfume. She smelled like vanilla. My chest tightened. I opened her bedside table, half expecting that. What? A love letter? Condoms? Instead, I found a tablet with a tab with the booking of a hotel in the city center, dated 2 days earlier. Then there was the receipt where the room was booked for one person. Paid in cash. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the paper. Emily hated hotels. "They're impersonal," she'd say. Yet here was proof she'd chosen one. My fingers trembled as I tucked the receipt back, trying to rationalize. A girl's night. A mistake. When she returned that evening, her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Mark, you're early." She kissed my cheek, her lips cool. "Surprise," I said, handing her the flowers. She arranged them in a vase, humming. Normal. Too normal. I watched her, searching for cracks. Her nails, painted a deep burgundy. New. She never painted her nails. "How was the trip?" she asked, avoiding my gaze. "Fine. Yours?" "Oh, same old. Lily's been asking about you." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. That night, she quickly fell asleep with her back to me. I stared at the ceiling, and the receipt burned a hole in my mind. The next morning, I drove Lily to school. She chattered about her friends, her voice a balm. "Dad, can you come to the science fair next week?" "I'll try," I said, knowing my schedule was a minefield. Back home, Emily was in the shower. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. A notification lit up the screen. 7:30 p.m. Usual place. My stomach dropped. The sender's name was hidden under a contact labeled PT, physical therapist. Since when did she need one? I grabbed my keys and left before she could see me. Drove aimlessly, past the park where we'd had our first picnic, past the cafe where she'd spilled latte on my shirt and laughed until she cried. Now, every memory felt tainted. At a red light, I pulled out my phone and Googled the hotel. Fancy. 4 stars. The kind of place you'd take someone you wanted to impress. That night, I told Emily that I had a call from work. Instead, I parked in front of a hotel with tinted windows. At 7:25 a.m., a silver Audi pulled into the parking lot. Emily came out, her maroon nails glinting in the light of the lobby lamps. He was followed by a man, tall and broad, shouldered. He put his hand on the small of her back, guiding her inside. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. 20 minutes. 30. An hour. When they emerged, her hair was tousled, her laugh carrying across the street, a sound I hadn't heard in months. I'd followed the Audi to a quiet neighborhood. The man's house was modern, all glass and steel. Emily kissed him goodbye, lingering. Back home, I poured a whiskey, the ice clinking like a countdown. She walked in at midnight, cheeks flushed. "Out late," I said. "I went to the book club." "What book have you read?" She froze. Detective, you wouldn't like that. I put down my glass. That's a strange excuse. Her eyes flickered to the door. Mark, what's this about? I slid the tablet across the table to her. She turned pale. It's not what you think, she whispered. Then tell me what it is. Silence. The clock ticked. His name's Paul, she finally said. He's a friend. Friends don't sleep in 4-star hotels. Emily. She flinched. It just happened. I was lonely. Lonely. My voice cracked. I was gone 3 weeks a month to give you this life. To give us this life. She sank into a chair, tears streaking her mascara. I'm sorry. I'll end it. I swear. But promises, like peonies, wither quickly. The following weeks were a blur of unspoken accusations and hollow routines. Emily kept her promise, or so she claimed. Paul's Audi no longer idled outside the hotel. But trust, once shattered, doesn't glue back clean. I started noticing things. The way she'd angle her phone screen away from me. The sudden errands that took hours. The perfume. Vanilla, but layered with something sharper. Lily sensed the tension. At dinner, she'd push peas around her plate, eyes darting between us. Are you guys getting divorced? She blurted one night. Emily dropped her fork. Of course not, sweetheart. I said nothing. Work became an escape. I volunteered for longer assignments, burying myself in spreadsheets in airports. But distance only sharpened the paranoia. One sleepless night, I logged into our shared cloud storage, a relic from happier times. Folders labeled taxes, Lily's recitals, and then renovation ideas. Inside, screenshots, text conversations. Paul, miss you, tomorrow. Emily, can't. He's home. Paul. So, a photo followed. Emily in a black lace bra I'd never seen, smirking at the mirror. Timestamp. 2 days ago. My throat burned. I drove to Paul's glass house at 3 a.m., fury fogging the windshield. His porch light was on. I pounded the door until my fists ached. He answered, disheveled, in a robe. Mark? What the hell? I shoved him against the wall. You think I wouldn't find out? He laughed, breath reeking of gin. Find out what? She's the one who kept coming back. The punch landed before I could think. He staggered, nose bleeding. Touch her again, I hissed, and I'll ruin you. Emily was waiting when I returned. Where were you? Paul's. Her face crumpled. I told you it was over. Bullshit. I showed her the photo. You're still his little secret. She hugged herself, trembling. I tried to end it. He threatened to tell you. Said he'd send everything to Lily's school, our friends. So you kept sleeping with him to save face. To protect us. I laughed, bitter and raw. There is no us. Pack your things. You've got until morning. She left quietly, taking only a suitcase. Lily stayed with me, confused but resolute. Mom said she's visiting Aunt Claire, she said, clutching her stuffed rabbit. I knelt, heart splintering. Things might change for a while. But I'm here, okay? She nodded, tears pooling. I hate changes. The divorce was swift, brutal. Emily fought for custody, but the evidence buried her. Paul vanished, transferred to a branch overseas, rumors said. I sold the house, bought a smaller place near Lily's school. She adapted, as kids do, but I caught her staring at empty corners sometimes, as if waiting for ghosts. Emily drifted in and out, a specter in Lily's life. She canceled again. Lily muttered after a missed zoo trip. I hugged her tight. We'll go anyway, just us. At the giraffe exhibit, she smiled for the first time in weeks. Dad? Yeah? Thanks for not leaving. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Always. Months later, a letter arrived. Emily's handwriting. I'm sorry. For everything. No return address. I burned it, watching the ashes curl like dead petals. That night, I dreamt of the hotel. Emily laughing, Paul's hand on her back. But this time, I walked past them, keys jingling in my pocket. The next morning, Lily and I painted her new room sunflower yellow. "It's bright," she said, grinning. "Like a fresh start," I replied. And for the first time in years, I believed it.